Hey everybody, welcome to this 71st, that's right, 71st edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. Hey guys, like I said, welcome to the 71st edition of the Animated Girls Profile Confidential. By the title, you could tell that we are going to be focusing on Jenny from Bucky O Hare. And like I said, for this episode, we're going to be looking at Jenny. We're talking about Jenny from Bucky O Hare. A little bit of a short history in case you guys don't know. Bucky O Hare was a franchise that was originally a comic. It was a video game. It was a toy franchise, and eventually, of course, a cartoon. And Jenny was basically the second in command when it came to the crew. Like I said, Jenny was the second in command of Bucky's crew. She was his first mate. Not in that sense, if you know what I mean. But they do kind of, I guess, towards the end of the series, kind of the animated one. That is, I don't know about the comics, but mostly like in the animated series. From what I understand, I think towards the end of it, they did show she was a little bit jealous of other girls flirting with Bucky. But yeah, Jenny is a very prevalent character. She's a feline, of course. She's an anthropomorphic feline that has these special, like her and her people that are also anthropomorphic felines. They have these psychic-like powers, kind of Jean Grey-like, where they can communicate telepathically with each other, and they have this secret ability that one of the characters, and we'll talk about them in a minute, finds out about, but doesn't reveal to anybody else, because Jenny basically ensures the person in charge, the princess, if you will, that hey, you could trust this individual. They're on the up and up. So yeah, and Jenny is a very prevalent character in the Bucky O Hare franchise, and she has, and I haven't watched the series. It's been a long time since I've seen any part of the series. I mean, I barely watched it as much as I probably should have, but yeah, the series not the series. The series came on, I think, on Sunday mornings, and of course, like I said, I didn't watch it because we went to church and stuff. So, like I said, I didn't get a chance to see it. I do remember. I think it was on KBHK, which is now KBCW, but KBHK 44. I do remember that. But like I said, never got a chance to see it because, again, we went to church. It basically came out on a time when we would go to church, head out of the house, that is, go to church. And we were living with our grandparents a few times and it was on, so I never really got a chance to see it. But I knew about it. I knew about Bucky O Hare. I knew about, like I said, the action figures. I knew about the game. I think I knew about the comic. Not really sure about that or not, but I knew. But later on, thanks to the internet and all that, I found out that it has a comic too. So anyway, long story short, Jenny basically plays a huge role in this. Like I said, she's the first mate, second in command of his crew, of Bucky's crew. But there's one thing about Jenny that really sticks out in a lot of people's minds. In fact, Rob the Wonderful talked about this in his review of Bucky O Hare several years back, and this was something that he pointed out and he actually talked about a little bit. And that was, and a lot of other people elaborate on this through Wikipedia, fandom sites, and all that. And that's Jenny's closeness, very closeness, if you will, very affectionate closeness with the human character known as Willy, or Willis. I think, no, Willy. That's his name. Like I said, Jenny has this kind of this closeness with the character known as Willy. Willy is actually, or Willis, whatever you want to call him, Willis, is actually a 12 to 13-year-old boy in the series. Yeah. I don't know if he's portrayed as older in the comics or what, or even the games. But he's basically a 12 to 13-year-old boy. He's basically a preteen slash teenager. And Rob the Wonderful, as I was saying, basically Willis or Willy in the series, depending on his depiction, in the animated one is a preteen slash teenager, between 12 and 13, maybe 12 and 14. And again, I don't know how he's portrayed in the comics or elsewhere. He might be older, who knows. But when he first shows up in the animated version, he is immediately, well, I wouldn't say he, but Jenny is immediately smitten with him, because when he explains basically who he is, where he comes from and all that, it sounds impressive, because where he ends up is completely different than where we are. He's in what's known as the Aniverse, which is basically the animal verse or animal universe. And I guess to them, an average day kid and what they do or what they're capable of doing, what they've accomplished is like a big deal, or it's very impressive. Like I said, to the point that Jenny immediately becomes smitten. I mean, when they meet, and like I said, he introduces himself, she immediately does the rapid batting of the eyelashes and all that. Like, oh my gosh, this guy, this individual is so, so brave, so handsome, kind of deal. And one of the first things that she does, I think, when he accompanies them on a mission, is she kisses him on the lips. and like I said, she kisses him on the lips. And this is where Rob basically talks about, kind of doesn't just talk about, but kind of touches upon how I guess in the eyes of someone like Rob, it's very inappropriate for something like that to happen, and it kinda is. So, like I said, Rob basically touched upon this in his review, kind of made a little bit of a joke upon it, but he also touched upon the fact. But as I was saying, like I said, Rob basically touched upon it, and not only did he touch upon it, like I said, he kind of made a joke, or kind of made a joke as well, but kind of discussed the fact that look, this Willis character or Willy character, he's 12 to 13, 12 to 14 years old, and this Jenny character is a full-grown adult female anthropomorphic feline. So, and he does, kind of bring up, like, look, because like I said, when she kisses him, when Jenny kisses Willy on the lips, it does take Rob, and I'm sure anybody else, by surprise, if not did take people by surprise. And he's like, look, you know, he's talking about, okay, let's look at what just happened here. One, why are you rushing into things? Two, don't you just want to go out, maybe get to know each other, which would be better. But then he says, and three, and he kind of puts a game out on this. He kind of makes it like a little game, like, let's see what's wrong with this. Like, one, that's rushing into things. Two, shouldn't you want to get to know each other by maybe going out, having a date or something, drink, whatever? And three, oh, by the way, he's young. He's a young preteen / teenager, a kid, if you will. And yeah, this is, I'm thinking this is what made her one of the this is what made Jenny one of the, I wouldn't say founding mothers, but one of the strong foundations of furry fandom, and as well as a strong contender, if not a top contender, for potential what they call waifus in overall media, because of that one moment. And I thought, and the more I thought about it, I can kind of see why, nowadays, even though I still support it, because it's fiction and we got to remember that, but I still support it because since, episode 1, it's been one of the stronger, I guess you could say stronger, closely knitted relationships / friendships in the show, and that's Spike and Rarity. And like I said, looking, but how people reacted to Jenny and Willy, it's like, okay, I can get where you're coming from with Rarity and Spike, but there's a difference. One, Spike is based on a species that doesn't matter how big they could be, they could age slowly or rapidly. We don't know. Willy, on the other hand, I could see maybe why there's a bit of uncomfortableness, uneasiness. It's because, hey, he's a kid. And, you shouldn't be promoting that. And like I said, I understand that. I get that. So yeah, I can see basically why some people are not fans of something particularly like this happening in a show or even a movie. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of people that was critical about the hinted romance between the main child character and the young adult woman in Disney's Blank Check. So I could probably understand, so I can understand basically what people might feel a little like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. But you got to remember, though, the way what they're basing it off on, and they do this throughout the animated series. Again, I don't know about the comics or anything, but they're basing it off the fact that he's in a different universe, and in this universe, someone like him could be considered a major hero, could be, in the eyes of a character like Jenny, considered a major hunk, or stuff like that. So it's one of those situations, like, yeah, it may not seem appropriate, but you got to remember how they're trying to pass it up, kind of pass it around, kind of, get by those technicalities, if you know what I mean. But yeah, overall with Jenny, she obviously, I mean, even if you've not watched or watched the Bucky O Hare series or read the comics or played the game, she's one of those characters that, you just look at her and one, she's a protagonist, and two, that she could be the kind that's, even if, like I said, even if you're not read the comics or watched the show, you can tell could be very, very flirtatious, affectionate, good, just overall kind, gentle person or character. So yeah, Jenny, is just like one of those characters. In the end, I should say, Jenny is just one of those characters that, that when you look at her, like I said, you just get that vibe. And with the exception of her, relationship, if you will, with Willis, if you will, in the series. I think honestly, from what I've seen, she's a very capable character that has earned the fan base that she got. And if there's a revival of Bucky O Hare, hopefully she plays a bigger part than she did in the original series. Now, look, I'm not saying she didn't play, I should say, a big part in the original series, but it was mostly about Bucky and all that, and Willy, But if a revival came around, hopefully she'll play an even bigger part than she did in the original. But anyway, though, but with all that said, that's pretty much about it for this edition for Animated Girls Profile Confidential number 71 on Jenny from Bucky O Hare. Thank you all for listening and watching. And I do apologize if you heard anything in the background. I'm trying to do this before work, try to work around, the current living situation, if you know what I mean. So I just thought I'd let you guys know if you heard anything in the background and stuff. Just have to, like I said, work around the living situation I'm in right now to be able to do this. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to you all later. Peace out.